rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Alvarez.
Present.
Councilman Cypress.
Here.
Councilman Larka.
Here.
Councilman O'Connor.
Here.
Supervisor Hay.
Here. Any electronic devices, please put them on vibrate. Front entrance, rear exit. Okay. I make a motion to come out of the executive session. No action was taken.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Work session, discussion, Amoresco solar panel installation update on the former landfill site, Lower Mine Road. Is that you, gentlemen? Yes, sir. You look like landfill guys. Do you have a special spokesman? Spokesman, or you want to all come up? The mic is right up here. Talk into the mic so we all can hear you. It has been you, but I've been here almost 12 years, and it's finally coming to a conclusion next year, but you're in the works now, which is great. Just so the public knows, we've been working on a solar project down at the old landfill for almost 12 years. Solar City started it, they put quite a bit of money into the project to start, like $1 million. I think that's a lot of money. And then they walked, and these gentlemen took over, probably 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and all the regulations that you have to follow to get things done. They're getting ready to go to the planning board, so you can tell them when we can expect it to get going.
Sure. So I'll start off. My name is John Ahern with Couch White. We are the attorneys for the project. Also here is Steve from Amoresco and Websley from Bergman, the engineers. So as the supervisor sort of alluded to, this is a project long coming in the town on the town's closed landfill. There was previously an arrangement with another solar company who was not able to follow through, I guess we can say, on that arrangement, and Amoresco has taken up that. So what we have, I'll let Steve and Websley get more into the technical aspect of the project, but what we're here tonight to do is to update the town board and everyone here on what's...
And you'll be back for the public hearing next week from Thursday? The 24th again?
24th, correct.
Yes.
So we are here to update everyone, give a little presentation, and also describe the process that we're going to go through. I'm not sure if the town attorney has had the opportunity to speak to everyone yet, but so given that this is a town-owned property and it is a town-owned project in a sense that Amoresco is doing it through a lease with the town, there is a somewhat different process that can be followed. It is commonly referred to as a County of Monroe doctrine. I know it's probably a little more than you guys want me to get into, but essentially what it is it allows the town board to review a set of factors and determine whether or not this project would count as a public purpose for the town itself, in which the project that would not be subject to the town's traditional zoning requirements. So what that would mean is the process would stay here with the town board. The town board would review the project, obviously in consultation with its engineering firm, which is Sterling Environmental. My understanding is that they are your engineering firm for the landfill. They're reviewing traditional site plan aspects in addition to DEC's manual on putting solar facilities on a landfill. So what we have proposed is that we hold a public hearing on the 24th, in which we would outline our opinion on those factors and give the town board our input. The town board, in conjunction with Sterling, would review the site plan that has been provided by Bergman. We've already gotten some comments back from Sterling, so we'll make those updates in advance of the meeting on the 24th, in which everyone can review. But in that finding, if the town board were to agree that this project is for a public purpose for the town, it has the ability to then say the project would not have to follow traditional zoning requirements and go before the planning board and get a site plan approval. We would go through the process here, get Sterling's environmental sign off, and the town board would make that resolution and approval and we would then proceed through the normal building process where we would submit construction drawings to Sterling to sign off on, obtain a building permit through the town's building department, and construct the project that way.
Okay.
Questions?
Yes.
Is there any part of zoning that you think would be a problem, or what's the benefit to that? Just streamlining the process for you?
It streamlines the process, and if my recollection is that the current zoning for the landfill ironically would not allow the solar facility by right. So we would have to do some additional zoning steps if that were the case. So I don't know this board's familiarity with some development items such as seeker and referrals to the county and stuff like that. But rest assured, we are, and so is your town attorney. We've been working with him on that. And I don't want to speak for him, and he can confirm this all with you later or at the next meeting if he's here. There's a General Municipal Law 239 section which requires referral to the county if there's certain triggers. That includes things like parks, state highways, county highways, if you're within 500 feet of these certain things. We're not, so there's no requirement for a 239 referral in this instance. When it comes to seeker, which is the environmental review, the DEC has explicitly provided a list of items that do not require review under seeker, and this would be one of them. It counts as a solar facility on a landfill with less than 25 acres. So essentially, it's a really short review and determination for seeker in this situation. It's the board takes a look at it. They say it's specifically listed on this list as a type 2 action, so no further environmental review is required. I know that probably seems a little weird, but I think DEC's purview is that it's a closed landfill, it's a renewable energy project. They tend to view those favorably, so we wouldn't have to do seeker. Any other questions?
I just have a follow-up question to that, and I think I know the answer based on your response to Eric's question, but there's no other zoning issues like setbacks or anything like that you're trying to avoid?
No, I can't remember off the top of my head, to be honest with you. I'd have to double check, but I think the big concern was the use being permitted.
Okay.
It meets all the setback requirements. so-
Provide some clarification on that in the setback.
Oh, sir, if you don't mind, can you just talk in the mic for the recording? Thanks.
And your name too, for the record?
Yeah, my name is Websley Darbuz, and I'm an engineer with Bergman. There's a little clarification on the setback, on the side setback. So the property is adjacent to MTA's property to the east, and there is a 35-foot setback that we're slightly encroaching in. I think we're about 20 feet or so from the property line there. So there is that one setback requirement.
And that's in our control, not the MTA's?
Correct. That's strictly a zoning setback. And
So if we do whatever he was describing, we could just do that on our own, and if we didn't, we'd have to send it to the ZBA.
yeah, at that point, we would have to do, if the town board does not find that this is a public purpose, we would have to do several things, one of which would have to work with the zoning to somehow make the use permissible. There's several options on that. Then the other thing would be to go to the ZBA for a setback, and also to the planning board for site plan approval. I will note on the setback issue, though, the sideline that Websley is describing, our only neighbor would be the railroad track.
Right.
Well, you called this a public, what'd you call it again?
Public purpose, project for a public purpose. In advance of the meeting on the 24th, I will send the board a full letter describing the case law on this and the factors and providing our position on each of the factors for your review.
The reason I ask is I think the Hudson Valley Regional Council is here, I think. Yes, and I was just curious if designating it as that or treating it like that would either help or hurt what we're trying to do to get towards a clean energy community.
So these are probably two different, they're a little distinct. The reason that this can be identified as a public purpose is because it's town-owned land. So it is essentially benefiting the town as a whole. versus if, let's just say, Joe Smith down the road owned the property, it would be a different thing where the town would not be able to find that it was being used for a public purpose for the town.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Great. I can, this is Steve McDonough, Amoresco. I'm the development manager for the project. And just give a little bit more facts and a little bit of history behind the project. We were awarded the project back in August of 2020 after an RFP that was run in 2019. We signed the lease and PPA in July of 2022 with the pilot agreement signed by the county, town, and school district this past April of 23. The current status is that we have the interconnection agreement with NYSEG. That's been fully paid for, is roughly $450,000 for interconnection. That construction they're expected to complete construction of interconnection as long as all the approvals go well by the end of 2024. We've received preliminary feedback from the DEC and DEP as well as Sterling Engineering. They're very quick in their turnaround, and we have their comments here. So we won't necessarily address them tonight, but we'll be addressing them over the next week. So for the next meeting, August 24th, we'll have everything submitted back to them, and hopefully that all those comments will be closed out. The project itself, it's a 2.3 megawatt AC project, and it's because it's on the landfill. Do I have to stand up here? Can I go over?
Otherwise, the video won't get it, so.
Yeah, so it's, because it's on a landfill, there's concrete ballast blocks, so we won't penetrate the landfill cap. That's one of the key things when you're building on a landfill, and Amoresco have built 40 solar projects on landfills around the United States, so very familiar with the process. The entrance will be through Lower Mine Road. Through the gate, we'll use the existing access road for the construction of the project. And we will be installing a 7-foot fence around the perimeter of the landfill as well. We'll use the existing gate on Lower Mine Road. And I think the town requested a gate on the north or the south side to access the easement for the gas company that's been doing work there as well. Let's see what else. According to initial feedback from DEC, we won't be building on any of the steeper slopes greater than 10%. We'll have the equipment pad off the cap per their request. And then none of the panels will encroach within 10 feet of any of the gas monitoring wells. So those are some of the key things. We'll be doing less than 1 acre of tree clearing. We won't be, stumping those areas. They'll just be cleared, so we don't have to worry about erosion in those areas. And those are the key things. And Websley, you might have some other things that you want to point out, but
The white gaps, that's where there's not a panel, like for one of those test
those are the
sites or
steeper
events.
slopes, yeah.
Well, no, even the smaller ones. Like those are, okay.
Yeah. And there's another area of steep slopes on the north side that, we moved panels off of that based on comments that we got. Yeah. And our hope is that, with the approvals from DC, DEP, and the town, we're hoping to get those wrapped up in September, and we'd hope to start construction potentially. We might wait until after the winter weather. We might start late fall, or we may wait until the spring to start construction. That would be our hope and intention.
The meeting on the 24th that the supervisor mentioned, that's about the public purpose part of it, or what was that for?
Yes.
It's actually a public hearing for the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Would we need like a resolution for this public purpose
No.
if we went that way, or?
There'll be a
so
resolution prepared based on what the comments have been public hearing.
based on my discussions with the town attorney, we would have the public hearing in which we would present our position and our points that we want the board to consider on the public purpose factors. The board is free to take comments from the public on, that as well. And then the town attorney had indicated that the board would have deliberations and would instruct him on, how to proceed, whether there would be, if there's agreement on those factors, that he would draft some type of resolution to that effect.
Thank you.
I have one more question. You're leasing this land from us, and there was an RFP, and I think there's some economics involved for us.
Correct.
Will you pay property tax on this? And does this influence whether or not you would?
We have a pilot agreement in place with the town, county, and school district. Yep, so that's been agreed upon. Everyone's been signed off on that. And we have lease payments that escalate 2.5% per year. And then there's a PPA agreement, so the town will receive savings. They'll receive credits on the bill at a 5% discount, for the credits. So they'll receive a 5% discount.
When did the pilot start, or when does it start?
I believe it starts when the project is,
Finished or something?
yeah,
And
is constructed.
and it's a 10-year?
Sorry, what's a 10-year?
Is the pilot a 10-year
It's
pilot?
a 15-year pilot.
Okay.
The lease agreement is 25 years, and the power purchase agreement is 25 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I'm good.
Okay, we'll see you back here on the 24th.
Great. Okay.
Thank you.
Look forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Okay. let's see. Second item on the discussion this evening, NYSERDA's Clean Energy Communities. Eric, you had this put on? Is that the one?
Yes, yeah, so, as you know, we're having, issues at Tenetta Lake. That's the next discussion topic. I reached out to, Matt Slater and asked, if there was anything,
I think
No.
you're jumping ahead.
oh,
Number
I'm
two.
sorry.
Liz.
Oh, Clean Energies, yes, sorry. Thank you. So,
Why don't you come up to the mic, man?
yeah. So 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, we had someone come and give a presentation about doing smart, what is it called? Eric, what's it called? Clean Energy Community. And we put it down and haven't picked it back up, and someone reached out to us to re-explore it, to Eric and I, and we asked for a representative to come, and that's you, Liz. Thank you.
I don't know if I'm able to project any slides.
Does that have HDMI, your computer?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, we could try.
Okay.
You want to take a quick recess, Tony?
Or take 2 minutes? 2-minute recess? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can you just, 1 second? Just try and talk more into the mic. I'll let you adjust that.
This is good. Right into it? Okay.
stay down there.
Okay. No, but it's good, yeah. Just the text is a little funny, but it's okay. Am I
You sound
ready to start?
louder than you did over there,
We
that's
have
for
to come
sure.
back for recess, right?
Oh, yeah. Make a motion, come out of recess?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay.
Okay, great. Good evening. My name is Liz Sun. I'm a Clean Energy Communities Coordinator with Hudson Valley Regional Council. First, I'd like to thank board members Larka and Sarpris for inviting me tonight to give this presentation. I will be talking to you about the NYSERDA Clean Energy Communities Program, so the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority. Yeah. So a little bit about the Hudson Valley Regional Council. We are one of 9 regional councils in the New York State and over 600 nationally. HVRC provides technical support to municipalities across our various programmatic areas listed here. We pride ourselves in providing impartial, transparent, informative technical support to local governments, and please feel free to reach out on any of these programmatic areas. So the Clean Energy Communities Program offers flexible grant funding for clean energy projects with no local cost share. This creates pathways to lower utility bills in homes, businesses, municipal buildings through a variety of high-impact actions. So along with my other colleague, Eleanor Peck, who had given this presentation a year ago, and myself, we are the 2 coordinators in the Mid-Hudson region. I am the coordinator for Dutchess County, and we are currently working with a number of municipalities in the county and across the entire region as well. Currently, there are over 850 communities that are participating in the program. 500 are designated communities, meaning that they have done at least 4 actions in the program. As of 2016, there have been over $17 million funded into the program, and there are lots of resources, toolkits, step-by-step guidance, and recognition for being a part of this program. So in order to participate, you are eligible for 3 types of grants. There are designation grants, as I just mentioned, so you have to complete 4 high-impact actions, and you would receive that $5,000, usually by check or through the mail. You can also participate by doing point-based grants. Those are associated with a certain amount of points that are awarded for each type of action, and then action grants, which are only done through community campaigns, and I will get to that in a bit. As of recently, the town of Southeast has only completed 1 action, the Energy Code Enforcement Training, so they've been awarded 200 points, but there is a lot that you guys could be a part of. As I had mentioned before, there are these point-based grants that communities are eligible for. As of right now, the Mid-Hudson region is only being able to award certain amounts of grants, and usually by this point, it's only small communities can get the 3,000 point grants. The 4,000 and the 5,000 point grants have run out for small and medium-sized communities. Otherwise, it'd be large communities that are able to get them.
I'm sorry, Liz, what size were we?
So a small and a medium-sized is any community below 40,000
Okay.
in population. So you would be considered small and medium, yeah. But as of recently, they have added new grants to community campaigns. Those types of actions encourage more residents and less of a municipal perspective to get involved in doing clean energy work. So right now there are 3 types of campaigns that residents can be involved in: community solar, clean heating and cooling, and electric vehicles. In total, from this chart, you would be able to earn up to $97,500 from completing every type of campaign and achievement level. And the different types of levels, they just are associated with, let's say you decide to do a clean heating cooling campaign, so doing heat pumps. If you're able to get 5 heat pump installations from your residents, you can submit to our program and get $5,000. From there, you can get more participation, and that would then get you to the next level, which would be $10,000, and so on.
So in your
Yes.
heat pump example, we would somehow communicate to residents on the benefits of heat pumps, and somehow we would get credit if they signed up?
Yes. So the way it usually works is you would think of different types of events, outreach, presenting materials and education to your residents to get them involved in your campaign. And then from there, you would work with contractors to get residents to then sign up to get an installation, have the installation completed. Once that has been completed is when you would submit a customer list of people who have participated in your campaign.
So they would have to sign up specifically for this and then do the installation?
Not necessarily. So once you have been approved to start a campaign, and that starts by submitting a scoping document, and that describes what type of campaign you're planning to do, if you have any event ideas, if you're planning to partner with any other organizations. So HVRC and also Sustainable Putnam is another organization who can help assist you get resources and also get your campaign off the ground.
And is there any benefit for the consumer or the customer or the resident? Other
Definitely.
than, more efficient heating and cooling?
The cost savings for sure.
Okay.
There's a lot of evidence that installing heat pumps or joining community solar farms are going to reduce your energy bills, especially for community solar. If you were to sign up, you can save up to 10% on your energy bills.
But I think his question was specifically
Yeah.
to the program, like, is there an extra discount or rebate because we were promoting heat pumps for the customer? And that's no, it's just their
Yeah.
normal benefit.
Not necessarily, no. It would mostly just be the money towards the municipality.
Okay. For the scoping ideas, do you have examples of that, or?
Of like what would be put on a scoping document?
Yeah.
Yeah,
what
I
the
can.
campaign would be.
Yeah. So for let's say maybe not cleaning and cooling, but recently there have been a couple communities who are interested in doing EV campaigns,
Mhm.
and so they'll reach out to dealerships and do test drive events,
Okay.
or have anyone who's a resident who owns an electric vehicle come and allow other residents to test drive their cars, locally in a school parking lot or in a parking lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, and so in my last few slides, I'm going to touch on some of the high-impact actions that I think might be of interest to the town and/or you might have already done, and then you can just submit and get grant funding from that. So in total, there are 24 actions, and there are 24 actions within these 14, I guess, like main high-impact actions. As you can see that there are different amounts of points associated with each one. There's also going to be a certain amount of grant funding for certain types, like community campaigns. And then if you were to do up to 4, then you can get a designation grant of that $5,000.
So,
Yes.
like 2 years ago, we did LED streetlights through NYSEG. So we would just need to notify you of that, and we could get credit for it?
Yeah. Do you know if it was Cobra Head or decorative or both?
Overhead.
Okay, that's perfect. Yeah, so that's actually going into my next slide.
Okay.
Got 1,100 points already, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
We're at 1,100.
Yes. Well, the Cobra Head are 700. Again, some of the actions are sort of like nestled
We did both.
in,
We had like a handful of decorative and
Okay.
blackberry, and then the rest were COVID.
Okay, I think as long as you've done at least 50%, then you will get credit for the action.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you've done all of them or most of them, then that's perfect. Yeah, so that's 900 points right there. Other actions that are typically done without communities knowing are clean fleet. So if you've installed a EV charger or gotten an EV municipal vehicle recently, or
No.
are thinking of it, okay.
Yeah, we are thinking of.
Okay, that's great.
So it's not your whole fleet, just moving towards a cleaner fleet?
Yeah, just one vehicle or one charger. It has to be a level 2 or a level 3, so a direct current fast charger. Yeah. Other actions that are typically done early on, unified solar permit, so streamlining that approval process for installing solar in a community. So directly, correlates to what was just presented on with putting more solar in the town.
So if that was a one-off, it wouldn't count. We'd have to pass something in our code, or
Yeah.
does that count?
No, it'd have to be passed in the code.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the, and I'm sorry if I missed it, that's where you make it easier for people to install solar, right? That it's,
Yes.
Is there like an example of what would go into a town code, or could we get that from you, if like other towns that have done that?
Yeah, so we have a template resolution that I can share with you that typically other communities will just take and then, replace some of the language, but it's usually about the same. So I can definitely send that to you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Another one that is typically done early on is benchmarking. So that is measuring and tracking your energy use in all municipal buildings that are over 1,000 square feet. And by doing that, you're able to kind of understand more of how you're consuming your energy, what are areas where you could best improve that energy cost and savings. And then potentially, if you've done any upgrades, then you can also further get more points and complete those actions as well. And then, as I mentioned before, the community campaigns. Right now, there are a lot of points because of this new program update. And so because you've already done one action, you would just need to do 3 more, and it sounds like you've already done 2 with the LED streetlights. So again, just 1 more if you want to do this unified solar permit, that would be perfect for. That would get you a designation grant, $5,000, and then depending on how many points that adds up to, that could be also the 3,000 point base grant, which would then be the 10,000. So you see it quickly adds up, which is
Yeah.
what's amazing about this program.
But for the benchmarking,
Yeah.
like, how do we submit that? Is there a template, or we just go get Excel, write our buildings, track our usage and costs, and then send that to you?
So the benchmarking would be done through EPA's Energy Star Portfolio Manager. So you would need to collect data on at least 2 years of energy use in each of the buildings that qualify. And that can be done through an Excel sheet, and that can then easily be uploaded to the portfolio manager. And we also provide assistance with training on how to use portfolio manager, and also can do some of the buildings for you, depending on how many that you have.
Is there a cost associated with working with whoever you just said, Energy Star?
It's completely free.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think one of us alluded to the EVs. I'm potentially working on a grant with our state senator for maybe a charger and a vehicle. Like, can you double dip? Like, if I get his grant, I still qualify for yours potentially?
Yes,
Okay.
we definitely encourage that. There are a lot of grants and other programs that are out there. There's Make Ready, Charge Ready that also provide for grants and incentives for EV chargers. I was actually at the press event yesterday where Pete Harcum was speaking about the Crest Fund.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm talking
That's
about.
what I was
yeah.
thinking you were talking about, yeah. No, that sounds really amazing. And I'm very excited to see how, everyone decides to use that funding, because it's an amazing opportunity. Yeah. Okay. So, again, like as I mentioned, if you are interested in doing a community campaign, HVRC and another organization called Sustainable Putnam are here to provide assistance, especially if you're thinking of doing community solar. Sustainable Putnam is in a partnership with Power Market, which is one of the solar farm companies in this area, and we can again provide assistance with getting your scoping document ready, with helping to get participants involved, and then submitting the documentation for the grant. Okay. I appreciate your time and consideration, and I look forward to having any questions answered.
You want to go first?
No, you go.
So, I wasn't around for the last presentation, but somebody shared the information with me, and I went on the website. There were next steps, like we had to, I think, say we were a clean energy community, and then we had to like pick a coordinator and get some kind of committee and that kind of stuff. Is that like, who helps us with that, or who outlines that part of it?
So I can definitely provide that assistance. Not every town needs to have a designated coordinator or sustainability task force. That's
Oh, okay.
just typical for most. But it could be a volunteer, resident volunteer, it could be a member of the board. Like that's perfectly fine.
Okay.
It's
So
really,
I'm not saying we would go
yeah.
that way, but like,
yeah,
if Eric and I just dealt with you, that's totally fine.
yeah,
Okay.
that's totally fine. Yeah, I think every municipality sort of does it differently. But it is amazing just to see how much people care, especially from different parts of the town. Yeah.
There was some people that brought this back to our attention, and they're here, so I don't know if they have any questions that you're more than welcome to ask. I don't want to say your name. Yeah?
Yes,
You,
we'll drag it back over, you
you
want?
should know better.
Good evening. It's really nice to see everyone, even from this side.
Name?
Anyhow, the questions I had is, it seems confusing, but actually with your help, and there are a lot of people I think that we've spoken to that would like to volunteer if you go the committee route. So I want to thank you for coming tonight. I think this is something a lot of people in town would love to see, and thank you to the board for following up on this. So, also, I think, just so the board knows, Phillipstown has been very engaged, and Putnam Valley, and Kent, too.
And Cold Spring.
Yes, so I'm sure they'd be really helpful if you need help that way as well. And I think Sustainable Putnam is great, too. So thank you all very much for doing this for us tonight.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Well, thank you for coming, and I'm sure we'll be in touch.
Thank you, Liz.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We take a 2-minute recess to,
Okay. 2-minute recess?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to come out of recess?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And next is a discussion, Teneta Lake drain improvements.
So, Tony, at the last meeting, we had the consultant, John Tucci, come in, make some recommendations about Teneta Lake, and obviously, the lake has been closed a bunch lately, and I know he said that his suggestions wouldn't fix the lake, but they were a step in the right direction, so I just wanted to see what our next steps were. I reached out to him earlier this week. Sorry I didn't have time to print it, I emailed it to you shortly before the meeting, but he put together a quick estimate for me on the 2 priority drains. It would be about $27,000 to do that work. And I'm just curious how we feel, what next steps would be, if there's any way we could start getting that work done. So he usually does that type of work after the season, right after Labor Day. And he would be available for us if we let him know soon, so.
Well,
Just curious what our plans were.
well, there's no plans at the moment, but we will make plans. So the bottom line is, we had them there. We had very good compliments on the one procedure was done next to the Lakeview? The one they had
The
done?
Beast.
And so after that meeting, I contacted, and I had an EOH meeting up in Patterson this week. And I asked him, is there any funding available? I told him how successful it was in the report. And he said there is, but the bad thing is, they're still on hold, waiting for New York City to approve more money since 2017.
Yeah.
So,
And my initial thoughts were, at the end of the season, you know, they're testing all summer, and I'm sure we all expect them to come back with more recommendations and probably more costly recommendations. Is there some way we could just fund this relatively smaller one, you know, this year, and then Eric's gonna talk about grants potentially as the next item that could fund some of the larger expenses?
no, I'm quite sure we can find the money. I think the committees will be very happy to move it along. It's Tenant Lake has been, you know, I won't say neglected, just haven't been able to move along, mostly because of the money aspect. And I think we should be able to find it. And if the board wants that, we'll put together a package, verify the numbers, and we can pass a resolution to get it done.
With being, you know, and I was very comfortable with him in his presentation, is this something that we would need to bid this work, or because it's special, we could just go with him? What would the process look like?
I'll double check with Will. We put it out to bid initially,
Okay.
and that's part of the recommendation, so could that follow the original bid that we put out for the service? We'll do it, and if he tells us we have to go out to bid, I mean, they were very reasonable. They were probably half of what anybody else was, so
And
I'd be comfortable, again, the town attorney will recommend it.
Okay, and just one other quick note, he put this together for me for the meeting. He had some questions about prevailing wage and vendor reporting that I didn't know how to answer. So
Prevailing wage is
so
always
think-
unfortunately required.
Think of this as an estimate until we have another discussion with
Okay.
him. So, you know, not a quote.
And we can always go out and get a price, but believe me, they were half of what everyone else was, the same work. So we'll work on that for the next meeting.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay. Anything else on that?
Nope.
Thank you for bringing it forward. Okay. Now we're going to regular portion of the meeting and make a motion to go into it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
First item, resolution to support legislation to fund studies and remediation for harmful algae blooms in New York water bodies. A 6266. Now therefore be resolved that the Town of Southeast Town Board hereby formally supports passage of Assembly Bill number 6266 of 2023, which would enact legislation aimed at combating algae blooms, marine and inland waters, sponsored by members of the Assembly Matthew Slater, and urges all members of the Assembly to join MMA Slater as co-sponsors of this critically important legislation. And be further resolved that the Town of Southeast hereby urges Senator Pete Harcum to introduce the Senate version of Slater legislation and to urge his colleagues to sponsor, co-sponsor, and support this legislation to Assemblyman Matt Slater and to Senator Pete Harcum with a request that this resolution of support be included as a permanent bill jacket for Assembly Bill number A6266, and that Senator Harcum carry the bill in the Senate and champion passage in both houses. So move for discussion.
Second.
Discussion.
Eric should have seconded.
Pardon?
Marcus should have seconded.
Whatever. So I reached out to Assemblyman Slater about the problems we're having at the lake to see if there's any grant money available and what he could do to help. He suggested and requested that we pass this resolution to support his bill. This may help open some grant funding, and he is also looking into some other grant opportunities for us for Tenetta Lake. So that was it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor? Or do
Any
we-
further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, number 2, resolution establishment of Birch Hill Highview Water District. There's a bunch of whereases. Resolved and ordered by the Town Board of the Town of Southeast Putnam County, New York as follows. Section 1, pursuant to Section 209 of Town Law, it is hereby determined that it is a public interest to establish a Birch Hill-Highview Water District in the Town of Southeast Putnam County, New York, authorized debt in the approximate amount of $275,000, and annual cost to be typically household in the amount of $1,804, which will not constitute undue burden on the property in said water district. It is hereby further determined that all real estate property to be assessed to pay the cost thereof will benefit from the improvements, and that no benefited property has been excluded from the boundaries of said district. Section 2, the improvements proposed by said water district consist in repair and replacement of existing water supply, storage, and distribution systems, including installation and/or replacement of certain mains and laterals, the construction and operation of pumping stations serve properties in Birch Hill, Highview Water District in the town of Southeast, Putnam County, New York. The maximum amount expended or to be expended by said water district pursuant to these proceedings for said improvements shall not exceed $275,000. Said cost of said improvement shall be financed by the issuance of serial bonds of the town, said town, maturing in annual installments over a period not exceeding 40 years, payable in the first instance from assessments levied upon and collected from several lots and parcels of land within the water district deemed benefited from the improvements, in an amount sufficient to pay the principal and interest on said bonds as the same become due, but if not paid from such source, all the taxable real property in said town shall be subject to levy of valorum taxes without limitation as to rate annual and sufficient to pay the principal of interest on said bonds, and the same shall become due. Section 3. This order is hereby adopted, subject to permissive referendum, and the town clerk shall publish a notice of adoption thereof, together with a full text included Exhibit A hereon, within 10 days of date herein, hereof, in the official newspaper of the town. The post same on the official signboard and website of the town within 10 days hereon. The question of adoption foregoing resolution order will be duly put on vote. Roll call, which it will result as follows. Now, Michelle, do you read that part, or voting? Okay, go ahead.
Councilman Alvarez.
Aye.
Councilman Cypress.
Yes.
Councilman Larka.
Yes.
Councilman O'Connor.
Aye.
Supervisor Hay.
Yes. Passes.
Yes.
Okay. Next one would be purchase of a flagpole for volunteer park. Resolved that the town board hereby approves the expenditures of funds raised in memory of Daniel Callahan and held by the town in trust and agency to defray the cost of the acquisition and installation of a 40-foot flagpole, 10-foot by 15 American flag, electrical wiring for lighting, and a suitable plaque commemorating Daniel Callahan's life in an amount not to exceed $5,181.98 donated for this purpose. Resolved that the flagpole be installed forthwith at the ball fields located at Zimmer Road, which is, Volunteer Park, 67 Zimmer Road. This resolution shall take effect immediately. So move for discussion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Number 4, Peach Lake Brook Remediation Contract Award. Now therefore be resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Southeast accepts the proposal of New England Aquatic Services LLC, 12 Leech Hollow Road, Sherman, Connecticut, 06784, to provide aquatic vegetation remediation services on Peach Brook, and hereby authorizes super to execute a contract with New England Aquatic Services LLC for such services in accordance with the proposal submitted. And be further resolved, this resolution shall take effect immediately. So move for discussion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Number 5, a resolution that the Town of Southeast Highway Department is authorized to enter into an intermunicipal agreement, IMA, with the Town of Somers to exchange, transfer a 2001 International Bucket Truck, VIN number 1HTSDADR 71H283837 for the Town of Southeast for a 2007 Freightliner truck tractor, VIN number 1FVXAU0048PZ13029 from the Town of Somers. Resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately.
Second.
Discussion. I'd like to thank Mike Burdick again for his diligent work in getting all these great bargains for the Town of Southeast, much which don't cost the town money, and we're doing some equal trade with other communities, which is an excellent opportunity. All in favor?
Aye.
Public comment? Okay, unfortunately, you're very recognizable. So I have a few things that we have to discuss here first. Okay. Do you have anything new, without going over the past history of what you've been here 2 other times for?
No, other than New York Citizens Audit has now completed the audit of the 2022 general election, and they found that things are still quite amok. So we would really just like the board to sponsor this resolution or sign this resolution for
Well,
an audit.
I'm only the supervisor, we have a town board, you've been here twice before, and we're not getting a lot of generation of comment. However, the one comment we received was from the Putnam County Board of Elections. They have evidently asked questions, and you have not made comment back to them. Once you've made comment back to them and made comment to their questions, we will entertain their comments to us about what we should do to go forward.
They have not reached out to me at all. I
Well,
don't know if they've reached out to
but you're not the one
higher
person.
ups.
You have a committee or a group or whatever. So
I-
it says
I'm-
here,
Do you have their questions? I'd be happy to see if
I don't
could
have their
answer
questions.
them.
No, they've asked you the questions and have not responded from our understanding. So the direction here this evening is to contact the Putnam County Board of Elections.
Okay.
There's a commissioner of the Democratic one and a Republican one.
Kelly
You must have
Primavera and
their
Kathy Croft.
information.
Yes, I know them. Yes.
And they've commented here, and they've asked that you respond to their questions. They will then, of course, contact us, and they say you can well, they'll not really take their orders, but if they entertain it, that's where it belongs, not so much here. So if you would do us a favor, contact the Board of Elections, respond to their questionnaires, and then we will be in contact with them on how to move forward.
Okay, I will. The issue that the County Board of Elections has with the State Board of Elections, the State Board of Elections, the information in their database can only be changed by the County Board of Elections. So when we did the audit of the State Board of Elections, we also audited every County Board of Elections. The numbers don't match. The problem is the county sees their version in their computer, in their version of the database. No one in the state database should be changed other than by the county representatives. I know Marley has presented to one of the town boards at least, and I know she brought this up with the Putnam County, Kelly Primavera at a Republican women's meeting, that the information is being changed in the State Board of Elections. It's not being changed by the County Board of Election Commissioners or anyone in their office. That's the problem. It is being switched in the Nice Voter Database, the New York State Nice Voter Database. I have no doubt whatsoever that Kelly Primavera and Kathy Croft believe that their information is true, but their information is not what the State Board of Elections has. They're only seeing a window of information that they're able to view. They're not able to view what's been affected by the algorithms. They keep their database up to date, I believe, as much as they can, but something is changing it in New York State with that algorithm. That's where the confusing part is, and talking to them and trying to answer their questions, it's difficult because they don't see the information that is at the state level, and they swear, and I understand where they're coming from. It's their job. They're doing their job from their end. Someone is changing their job. Something. I don't know that it's a person. We don't know who it is. We don't know who's manipulating the data. Something is manipulating the data in the State Board of Elections information.
Well, we're the low people on the totem pole, low person on the totem pole, and, I mean, I have to rely on them, whether it's, the county, the state, and on this level, not knowing that you haven't complied with whatever they've asked, I'm not too much in favor of moving forward any further until we have that information.
Okay, I was not aware. They have not reached out to me, but I will reach out to them tomorrow.
Okay.
I just keep in the back of your mind, and I know I said that the last time, when we all do our taxes, we do them with the fear of the audit, keeping us honest. These voter rolls were put in place with the algorithm that is in them, this algorithm, at least four or five algorithms that we have found in a triple peer-reviewed article. It's in a journal, scientific journal, published, triple peer-reviewed. These algorithms exist in that database right now. They were put in when the database went into effect in 2007. There's never been an audit on it, and the Board of Elections, as you can see from the county, they're being told by the state, we don't want an audit. They're fighting hard to keep us from getting an audit. Why? If they have nothing wrong with their database, why don't they open the books and say, hey, take a look, prove us wrong, prove us wrong. This group has put in over tens of thousands of volunteer hours, and many of them are high-level data analysts from big jobs down in the city, 7-figure jobs that, you know, when COVID hit, they found themselves home. They're people that want to be active, want to do, very brilliant brains. And this is the information that they have found, and there's no reason not to do an audit. It's what keeps everybody honest. I believe banks are audited twice a year. How can the Board of Elections never be audited in 15, 16 years already? I mean, just
Okay.
that thought. I will follow up with the Board of Elections, and I thank you for letting me speak.
Okay.
Any questions from anybody else?
I don't have any this time, and is this a good direction to follow? Sure. Moving forward? Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good evening. Other members of the public? Town board members?
Just quickly, Tony, you had shared with me some information about the grant we spoke about earlier with Liz, the CREST grant. I reached out to Senator Harkin's office. She sent me the packet, kicking around some ideas with Mike Burdick and
For what are you talking about?
that was the CREST grant. It was $100,000 for,
Oh, okay.
you know, maybe EV. So, you know, some of the things we're talking about is, you know, maybe putting in a charging station and, you know, getting an EV or two, you know, if we were fortunate enough to get this grant. So,
Yep. We'll work
when-
it
when
out
we
with
finish-
Mike, of
yeah,
course.
and then I'll come back to you before the next meeting. So.
Okay, very good. Anyone else?
I'm in favor of the EV, or at least the plug-in hybrids, because most of our town vehicles stay within the town, so it just makes sense that they have their infrastructure here. Like the building department would be especially, I think, an ideal choice for like a RAV4 Prime in the plug-in hybrid version, so I'd definitely be willing to support that.
Yeah, it's a $100,000 grant. You know, kicking around rough things, I think we could do a charging station and 2 EVs, you know, if we were that fortunate, so.
Okay, bring it to the table and we'll work on it.
Great job.
Okay, anyone else? I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to close the meeting.
Is there a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all for coming.